Hello, it's Amy at Little Deer, and today I'm going to show you one of my favorite projects, the Little Deer Stitch Journal. Stitch Journal is a hand embroidery activity book. Each of the 12 pages has instructions, but they're really just inspiration. You can complete your Stitch Journal in your own unique way. The Stitch Journal is available at the Little Deer shop. You can get a printed fabric sampler in these beautiful rainbow colors or the PDF pattern download. When you're done stitching, you can cut and sew the pages into a cute little keepsake book, and I'll show you how in this video. This one isn't complete, I just made it as an example, but I've finished an entire all-new journal, and I'm going to show you all my pages. Be sure to stay tuned till the end for a fun surprise. Okay, here's the first page, Follow the Line, a perfect embroidery warm-up. Use your favorite stitch or change it up as you go. I've used a split stitch for my line with this fun variegated floss that changes color as you go. I actually had a whole collection of this floss that I almost never use, so I pulled it all out to use for my journal, and I love it. The next page is Make a Patchwork Quilt. Play with different patterns and textures or create some of your own. I've used lots of different stitches and colors. These textures are one of my favorite things about hand embroidery. It's very touchable. Next is Dress Up. Design clothes, hair, and more for these people. I love the idea for this page, but I was actually not really looking forward to it until I started stitching them, and then I really enjoyed it. It's so unique and one of my favorites. Up all the pretty flowers. How many different flowers can you make? Mix and match stitches, try some new ones, and grow a colorful garden. I used a ton of colors on mine, but a friend of mine used all white and it turned out so pretty, so just use your imagination. Next, we have a mandala meditation. Stitching mandalas is one of my favorite things. It's so calming to repeat the stitches around the circle. I used a rainbow on mine. Hand embroidery is really so meditative and healing. Just stitch, breathe, and repeat. The next page is stitch practice. How many stitches do you know? Try out some new ones or make up your own. I just threw in all kinds of things here, some fun ones I don't use very often, and even a tiny weaving. Next up, make a collage. This one is very freeform. You can stitch on fabric scraps or ribbon or anything else you like, or try out this couching technique. Look for my couching video to learn how, and also see how I make these stitched messes with floss scraps. Another one of my favorites, add leaves to this tree, or try flowers, fruit, or all different seasons in one. I love drawing and stitching any trees, but I also especially love this grass. So simple, but so enjoyable. Next is another freestyle page with a few different ideas. Handwrite or stitch a quote or date. Make a pet portrait. Maybe add one stitch a day until it's all filled up. Or try to stitch with your eyes closed, but mind your fingers. I stitched Let Love Grow and then added growing vines and leaves. Next is a coloring page. First stitch the lines and then fill them in with color. I used a dark blue for the lines and then lots of color for all the feathers. This is a fun one to play with blends and gradients. Next, scrap floss rainbow. Use up your floss ends to fill in the colors. Use a solid stitch or any stitches you like. I didn't end up filling in the whole thing solidly, but I like how the color fades out. Also some fun lazy daisy raindrops and French knot clouds. The last page is Connect the Dots. Reveal shapes or pictures, invent new constellations, or just stitch lots of stars. I stitch a variety of stars, dots, and lines, and even a little moon and planet. So there you go. This is such a fun project. It's perfect for beginner embroiderers and so much fun for experienced stitchers too. Work through the pages one by one or skip around and do a little here and there. There's no right or wrong way to make your journal. Get creative and do it your own way. Take your time, stitch at your own pace, play, learn, and create. And be sure to browse my channel for lots of stitch videos and techniques to try out. So here's the original book I sewed together. There are a few different ways to make your pages that I'll show you, and then we'll bind them all together. So first I'm going to cut the pages apart. Personally, I like the rough edges of fabric, so I'm just going to cut right on the white dotted lines and sew most of these back to back as is. But if you do want to hide the rough edges, I'll show you a technique for doing that too. So for these two, I'm leaving about 1/4 inch of fabric outside the dotted line. We'll sew these front to front and then turn the page right side out so the rough edges are hidden inside. Now that I've cut out all my pages, I'm going to pair them up and pin them. These two are right sides facing so that we can hide those edges inside. I'm going to trace one of the already sized pages so I know where to sew these together. Using 2 threads of floss, I'm just going to sew along the line with a back stitch. Leave about 2 inches open at the end. Now I'll tie a knot, snip off my floss, and trim off the excess fabric around the edge. You can use pinking shears for this if you have them. Mostly be sure to cut an angle across at the corners so that it turns nicely. Now turn the page right side out and press the edges flat if you like. Tuck in the fabric around the opening and sew it closed. This is a hidden stitch and it barely shows when you're done. Start your knot on the inside, then pass the needle back and forth between the layers inside the folds. Tie it closed with the knot in the seam. Now for this back-to-back page, I'm just using a basic running stitch all around the edge. On these pages, you can leave one long side unstitched since that will be hidden in the binding. You can actually leave one whole side open on the last page too. I just didn't think of it until just now. And for this page, I'm sewing the panels together using a whip stitch, which is just over the top and through. It gives a little bit more of a finished edge look. Here's one more stitch to try, the blanket stitch. For this one, you'll start out like a whip stitch, but catch the loop of floss on your needle before putting it back into the fabric. I have a whole video on the blanket stitch that I'll link below. Okay, I've got all my pages in order and clipped with the raw edges together. These little plastic clips are perfect for this. They're really strong and easy to use. I've threaded this needle with all 6 threads of floss. You'll want a heavier duty needle than you normally use for embroidery. Make sure it's sharp. Start with your knot in between the pages. It takes a little strength to get that needle through all the layers of fabric. Make sure you have something sturdy underneath to help push the needle up through, and use a thimble if you need to. I'm using a blanket stitch again along the binding edge. When you get to the end, tie another knot in between the layers. All done. I think this turned out pretty cute. You can also cover the raw edges with a wide piece of ribbon like I did on this one. I just sewed it on with a running stitch. I love my stitch journal. It's so much fun to look back at all the pages I worked on for so long. Which one is your favorite? This is a fun little keepsake book, or you can use it as a needle book to keep your needles safe. Oops, my kitty constellation is upside down. Oh well, it just adds more character, right? What do you think? I hope you'll try out your own little Dear Stitch Journal, and guess what? Surprise! Stitch Journal 2 is here! I'm so excited to dive into an all-new Stitch Journal with 12 new creative pages and prompts. In Stitch Journal 2, we'll create a creature, decorate a little house, try reverse coloring, and lots more. Come stitch along with me! Grab your Stitch Journals at the link below and post your photos online at #LittleDearStitchJournal. I'd love to see them. Thanks for watching. Bye!